Like, look at the difference in size there. It's maybe not their best life, but perfectly fine. Ha, maybe this was a dumb decision. I was still able to come home with some things. This one is also a mystery. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. So I just got back from my holiday in Scotland. I've actually got a vlog going up, I think this weekend, of that trip over on my vlog channel if you want to watch that. But I've just gotten back and there are some updates that I want to give you post-holiday, as well as some plant chore chill things I want to do to get back in the rhythm of plant care. So that's what's gonna happen today. Before we get into it though, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi. My name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, welcome back. Let's get into some plant chores. But the first thing I want to show you before it freaking closes up, because this is literally opened up in the span of the last couple hours. It's flowering. My melanoni is flowering. Look at that. So legitimately, a few hours ago, this was fully closed. So I think in another couple of hours, it will have opened up completely, which is so freaking exciting. I know I said I was potentially going to cut this off, but I am kind of glad I didn't, because it is fun. It is a bit of fun here, so I may as well let it grow and see how it goes. Maybe leave it until it dies off completely this time instead of cutting it off after a little while. Okay, so the first actual thing I'm going to do, I think, is run around with my watering can and some fertilizer water. Where's my current fertilizer? So this is the stuff that I am currently using, Formulex. I still think it's a little bit too early to tell whether or not it is working well for my plants, but I doubt it would be any sort of problem. But I'm just gonna go run around with the watering can and give things a quick water. I did have my friend Lisa plant sitting and Cleo sitting for me while we were away, and so I think she did some like minor watering, but it has been a week since most things were watered, and I'm just gonna give them another big refresh and make sure they're all nice and hydrated again, seeing as it is getting quite hot these days. So I think that they absolutely deserve it. So yeah, let's just go quickly, do a whiz round, and get stuff rehydrated. Another notable thing is just how many little spikes of new growth are coming in on my Scindapsus Wheatii. There are so many in there just popping out, ready to come out for spring, which is so exciting. Also, I'm pretty sure there's some allocated corms in here that I should probably deal with. I don't know if there are any in... It doesn't look like there's any in the bottom box that need anything done yet, but definitely one or two of these ones could be pot up. Also, do you see how big this dragon scale leaf is? It is growing huge, like compared to my hand. And it's got another new leaf on the way at the minute. Absolutely stunning. Like, look at the difference in size there. It's doing so well. And this leaf at the back also. Oh, it's amazing. I think this area is really loving having this grow light on almost all the time. I think it just doesn't get enough light otherwise. But now that the light's on a lot, it is just absolutely loving it. I'm also incredibly proud of my Begonia Arabia Sunset here. I grew this from a single freaking cutting, and yeah, I do still have silver spots on some of it, but you almost can't tell because of how much it has grown and how big these leaves are getting. They are doing so well, and it is just so many different pieces now. I think I'm gonna have to get a bigger trellis for it because it's got two tiny things, no, one tiny arch in there, but it is so much taller now. It's doing so well. In here, I'm a little bit sad that my Stephania erecta still hasn't done anything. And I don't know if it will. This is the first year it hasn't like kind of popped out automatically for me, so I really don't know. I really don't know if it will. Maybe it just doesn't like semi-hydro that much. Who knows? We'll see, and if it doesn't bloom this year or grow or sprout, then we can always try again next year. Also in here, I have been seriously procrastinating actually doing anything in my pon box. It is grotty in there. It definitely needs a bit of a refresh, and I think some of these plants would actually benefit from coming out of it. If I give them all a rinse through in the sink, clear them out, flush it, and then clean up that like nastiness in there, because it is pretty freaking gross. I definitely think it's time for my Jacqueline to come out. One, it's like coming out the bottom of the pot root wise, but also it has reached the top of the box, and I think it would just benefit from an area with a little bit more light as well. So this is definitely one I'm planning on taking out. I think it would just like it a little bit more in maybe an area, I mean probably the cabinet, but my cabinet's a little bit full at the minute. I'll repot it and have a think about where it can go. This one's also really long and tall. I think this is the Longolobum, but to me it just looks like a poly. So I'm just gonna treat it as a poly. It could probably come out as well, but alas, I don't know. Should I just take it out? We'll see. It's not as bad root-wise as the other one was, so I don't know. Ooh, this one as well. Oh, what is this? I think this might be a green, actually this might be two things. I think it might be a dragon scale and a green shield, because this one looks like a dragon scale and this one looks like a green shield, but either way, hella rooted and quite tall as well. This one has been a corm for, I almost want to say years at this point. It doesn't have any roots on it. No roots. But it does, or it has recently looked like it's starting to put out a bit of new growth. So, I mean, I'm just glad it hasn't died, to be honest. Maybe I should peel it? No, it doesn't need peeling. yeah, I've got no idea what to do with this one because it's like, it's not doing anything. I mean, I'm just gonna leave it in the Pon box, and if it rots, it rots. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it grows, that's great. I've got a new plant. But yeah, and then this last one, I feel like desperately needs to come out of it. I have a Scindapsus in this box, and I do not think it's enjoying it all that much. Like, look at all these aerial roots. They've just grown crazy, and it's like hit the side of the box and melted off. So this one definitely needs to come out. But I don't know what, because I would prefer to put it, ideally, got goop on my hand. Ideally, I would put it in with my other Scindapsuses in my like multi-pot planter, but I feel like that's quite a big adjustment from being in a pond box with 100% humidity to going to soil in like average home humidity. So maybe I'll switch it to soil and put it in a cabinet just to like slowly acclimate it back to reality. But yeah. And then we can dump out this like nastiness. I think it's just algae, but I'd prefer it to not be there. Give it a good wash up as well. Now that everything's clean, I can go ahead and refill my box with some water. This is fertilizer water already because these plants will otherwise not get fertilized, because, I mean, as you can see, I literally never changed the water in here. Does that look like a good amount? Probably. All of the plants in here are quite small. And now I can just go in and put the ones that I want to stay in here, which I feel like is most of them. I'm only taking out 3 or 4 because most of these are still small enough to stay put as they are. So I actually created this system. I didn't create the system. I think it's probably been a system for a while, but I decided to use this system when I was going away for holiday a couple years ago. And I always really struggled with small pots like this of semi-hydro dehydrating really quickly because their water reservoirs aren't huge. And so before I went away, I put all of my small ones in a box with a layer of water at the bottom, and this was the perfect solution for them. You can put bigger ones in for going away on holiday, and I have in the past, but since then, a couple years ago I think, I decided to just keep this as a small pond box, specifically for growing like alocasia corms mostly, and it's worked really, really well for me here. So close her up and we can put her back where she belongs. I really want to see how my moss poles did that I wrapped. I think I'm just gonna unwrap one of them. I did do 2, but if I unwrap one of them and it's still moist, I might leave the other one on just to see how long it can last for. Because then if it lasts a long time, it could be a really good option for people who are going on holiday for like months at a time if you've got moss poles. So let me grab the Monstera and we can open it up, I guess. From the outset, you can see that there is some condensation on the plastic, which makes me feel like it's doing the right thing. But down here, I don't know, that pole looks kind of dry. I guess the only thing we can do is open it up and find out. One of the things I was just thinking as I was unwrapping this is, it is a lot of plastic to be using, which is not my favorite thing, but it's fine. It's not like you can really reuse this I do feel a little bit bad about the amount of plastic it is. So this top section definitely still feels moist, and this bottom section doesn't feel dry, but it's not as moist as the top, which is kind of weird for me. Normally I feel like the bottom of the pole will be more moist because of like gravity pulling the water down, but like it definitely worked. It's been like nearly 2 weeks now and it has worked fine for the purposes of me going away on holiday, so I feel like this is definitely something I would do again. The only thing is, if you've got a plant that has lots and lots of leaves on it and small leaves, it's going to be a lot harder to wrap the pole, or if you've got more than one stem on it, it's going to be a lot harder. So I feel like this works really well for the ones that don't have that many leaves, I guess, because when you have leaves, it kind of creates gaps. But for this one, it worked perfectly fine, and it definitely stayed more moist than it would have had I just left it completely. So I think that's a really good option, and I'm glad that I tried it, and I will definitely use this tip for future holidays, or just potentially leaving it long term. The only reason I don't want to leave it like long term is because I think it looks not amazing to have a plastic wrapped pole. Not my favorite aesthetically, but like it's not the end of the world, and if I'm on holiday I don't have to see it, so yeah, I'm okay with that. I wanted the bigger one, but oh no, get the bigger one, Emma, it'll be worth it. This one's just been folded up in my bathroom for ages. Cleo, no, you're not supposed to come on this table. You can see it's got some dirt on it still, but that's okay. Clean enough for this. And I can grab the planties. Oh! Cleo. This table's not for you. Good thing I didn't have plants on there already. They would have fallen straight off and made a mess. Okay. Excuse me, baby. It's my turn to sit. Hey, can we get down, please? I know you visited me, but I need to do work. Okay, let's do the clean stuff first. If I'm gonna put this in soil, it's gonna be the messiest. Let me grab a bowl, because I may as well give these things some fresh semi-hydro. And I have pulled out a bunch of my smaller self-watering pots because I feel like these are the best option for these ones. Let's do these two first because they are bursting at the seams. Oh, don't get stuck. The problem with a root that's grown out loads is that it could get stuck, but luckily I think it did okay. So these are both quite well rooted. Actually, maybe they're both dragon scales. I don't know, I'm gonna pot them up in the same pot regardless because I'm too lazy to separate them out completely. And if they're the same, they're the same, and it doesn't really matter. And I just use this instead of the strings that these pots come with because I find that the strings are really prone to rotting, whereas I'm pretty sure the microfiber is plastic, which I mean is not necessarily ideal, but it still wicks the moisture well enough, but won't rot away. So I just cut a couple strips of this off. And you can buy a pack of microfiber cloths for like next to nothing on Amazon, and cutting them up doesn't need to be perfect because they just live at the bottom of the pot anyways. Okay, I think 3 should be enough. If it's not, I can always cut more. But just do the normal thing where you thread them through the bottom of the pot. got my box of re-washed semi-hydro. Let me zoom you in a little bit more because you're really far away. Also, I think that essentially all the things in this box probably need a little bit more light. They don't get any direct sunlight or like light from a window. They're pretty much just getting light from one of my grow lights, and it's not super duper bright. It's one of my like crappy Amazon ones. So maybe I just need to put a different grow light in there and hope that that would do better for them. That's probably a good shout. I'm not going to right now, but that might be why these are like quite leggy. So there we go. That's one done. Yeah, look at that. It's all droopy. So sad. Okay, it's fine. It'll do. And I do think I'm gonna have to put all of these in a cabinet. They also, so when I took my Scalprum out of this Pon box, the one I just washed, I put it into the cabinet, and I don't know if the Scalprum is just extremely sensitive or what, but it lost all of its leaves. So it's like, I'm kind of scared to do this now, because what if they just lose, what if all my plants just lose all their leaves and all of the hard work they've been building this whole time just goes away? Kind of annoying. This one I'm gonna put into one of these, and I can just use a normal cash pot. No, I don't need to do that. Just stick to what you know, Emma. Just do what you're good at. I much prefer self-watering pots anyway, so I don't know why I was even contemplating putting in a normal one. And if I literally still have these, I can still use them. Might put this one slightly deeper. Just because it is so tall. There we go. So that's 2. These are always so fast to repot because the semi-hydro is just the best for repotting. And then my Jacqueline, which I think I got for my birthday as a corm 2 years ago now. Oh my goodness, yeah, almost nearly 2 years ago. Ta-da. Easy peasy. And then this one, I'm gonna try and put a little deeper as well because I want it to stay nice and upright. But yeah, I've had this allocation for 2 years, and it took, I'm pretty sure, a year for the corm to sprout initially, and now another year for it to graduate out of the Pon box. And I'm sure that there's definitely some things that I could have done to speed up that process. I don't think the Pon box was ideal conditions for it, light-wise especially. And like, I kind of put things in there and forget about them, which, I mean, I don't forget about them, I know they're there, I just don't do that much to them because I know they can tolerate. They're living a perfectly fine life in there. It's maybe not their best life, but perfectly fine living their life in the Pon box. So I just kind of leave them, which is probably not the best bet. Okay, and then this Scindapsus, I was actually thinking about it, and I remembered that I have 1, this pot, which is already in soil, and 2, these cuttings, which I cut off from when I originally did that joining of all of them. These were like the runners off of it, and I've had these in moss for ages, and you can see there's literally a new sprout in there. I say ages, it's been since January, which I'm very glad that I started doing this labeling thing, because otherwise I will genuinely forget about my propagations. Given that one probably could have been unpot a long time ago, but it's fine. it doesn't really matter. So this, I'm just gonna put them all together, and I do think these roots unfortunately will probably die off, but it's fine. It's fine. Also I can, yeah, sorry, my brain is trying to figure out exactly what it wants to do. Yeah, undo the sphagnum moss ones first. If I can get them out of this jar. I just don't want to pull their roots off because they've been making them for the last 6 months. Ha, okay, good. And then we can take all this moss off and get it going in one big pot together. And I mean, in theory, I could put them in my current mixed pot, but I really don't want to undo that one because it is kind of a lot of effort to do it. I mean, I know it's the right answer though. If I can just join them all together. Should I just do it? I do think this one needs to go into soil for a little bit before it can join the main one. I think. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it'd be, like, I mean, Scindapsus are pretty hardy. So like maybe it'll be fine. Have I been saying Sansevieria this whole time? If I have, sorry. I'm dyslexic, and Sansevieria and Scindapsus have approximately the same number of letters, and they both start with S, and so my brain just confuses them. My brain also confuses Anthurium and Alocasia all the frickin' time. I'll make whole videos where I have missaid Alocasia versus Anthurium. Not on like a care video or anything, but there's definitely been times when I have misspoke it, and I don't even realize I'm doing it because my brain doesn't, it just doesn't realize. So if I mix them up, sorry. Yeah, it's the dyslexia going on in there. Basically any word with like over 8 letters, I know Alocasia and Anthurium maybe don't, but any word with over the 8 letters is really hard for me to read. So the fact that I've memorized all of these Latin names of plants, like Schismatoglottis and Rhophidophora tetrasperma and all of those, and oh, what was it, Thaumatophyllum bipinnatifidum. I don't have that plant anymore, but like the fact that I memorized all of them, y'all should be proud of me because it does not come naturally for me. I do not read them as well as I should. Like the first time I see that, I'm just like, I don't understand how to function this way. Fun fact about me, if you didn't know, I'm dyslexic. Which is super duper fun. I also didn't discover I was dyslexic until I was doing my master's degree. And so that's a fun story for another time. But yeah, I found out very late in life that I was dyslexic. I've always had trouble with spelling and stuff, but it was never bad enough that it was a problem, and I do love to read, so it just never kind of came up earlier in life. Okay, I'm just gonna speed through this and get all this moss off, and then we can pot them in the big one. I think is the right answer. I know it is. I know it is. Okay, I'm only a little bit worried that all of these aren't gonna fit in my pot. Let's see, because my pot is pretty full. Okay, yeah. Okay. Seeing as this one is already coming out the bottom, I'm gonna go bigger with it. And it's gonna look way too big to start, but I think it is the right choice. This is a self-watering pot from Lechuza that I was previously using for my Gloriosum, but now I'm gonna put all of these in here. And it will be a little bit big, but it'll be fine. I can put my Argyraeus. I've been meaning to pot this up with something else for a while, but it'll go perfect in there, yes. I genuinely do think this is perfect. And I'm just going to not treat this pot like a self-watering pot at all. That was not the right way to do it, because now I've poured soil all over all of my plants, but it's okay. Look at all these roots though. So nice. And I can kind of spread these out a little bit more in here now. Put the Argyraeus in there. Which, this was my first ever houseplant that I was able to keep alive. And I can put it, I think I'll put it underneath in the corner. Yeah, these ones. Go over here, but I just genuinely think this pot will fill out on its own in time. It looks so messy like this, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect right now. Okay, that looks so much better now. This pot is just gonna be really heavy. I can't believe I was so scared when I did this originally that I was terrified to make this sort of combo box. But now that I've done it and I've had it for 6 months, I am loving it. I think it looks so much nicer and it looks like more of a full plant compared to what it was before, which was obviously a bunch of small plants, but I much prefer to have like one nice big full one. I think I like it. Let's put it back in its spot and see. Oh God. You know, I just realized I don't think I can put it back in its original spot because it was going like perpendicular to my cabinet, sitting on the top of 4. Might be a bit big. Maybe this was a dumb decision. Okay, let's try it. Try putting it back, and we can see if it works. Maybe. So that's where it was before, but obviously it was in this smaller pot. I don't think that is gonna do, and I can't really just put it like this because then I can't get it into my cabinet easily. Okay, I'm gonna need to, I think, have a think where it can go realistically. Kind of annoying. In the meantime, let me just quickly pot up this one in some soil. So So I think the most reasonable place for it will be up on the shelf above my bed, because these smaller things can still go on top of the cabinet. They'll not be getting that much of a change in light except for the grow light, and I think they'll be fine up there. It'll make this slightly less varietous, but I think it's okay. I think it'll be fine, maybe. I think I can probably keep these two up there. Move that there. Probably fit it there, and it should be okay. I mean, it's definitely not my favorite, but I think just once it grows out a little bit and relaxes in its new pot, it should be okay. Maybe the problem is that there's silver and silver. Maybe the Sable Blue goes somewhere else. I think that's just gonna have to be what it is for now. And I can always keep moving stuff about as I see fit. But this is literally the best place for this pot if it's got something trailing in it, which it now does. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think it looks fine. I'll put the other ones on top of the cabinet instead. I think it is just this one for now, so it's fine. I think it looks good there. It's kind of the same vibes because it's just Scindapsus still, so I feel like this is the perfect option. But yeah, I wasn't planning on doing any of that today, but it happens sometimes. Gonna have to do a little bit of cabinet rearranging in order to get these new alocasia in. So I think I'm gonna take some Hoyas out, because I've got this Hoya latifolia that I think I can move onto my shelves in the office, and also probably my Parasitica can go onto the office shelves as well. I love this plant so much. It's done so well for me. So now I have space to put these alocasia in. That'll do for now. This one also got massively dehydrated while I was gone because it is in soil, and so I have re-watered it now, and this is another one that I want to put into semi-hydro eventually. I also wanted to get some of these things into semi-hydro today because I didn't want to do them before I went away, but I don't think I have the energy to do all that much more. Maybe I will do a repot and chat bringing things like this peace lily. And actually I have a pot to repot my Monstera Tycon in, and now that its new leaf is fully out, I feel like I can do that. So yeah, I'll do a whole repot and chat video soon, putting all of these things into semi-hydro. So I also have, oh shoot, some plants from the plant swap. So the Glasgow plant swap was on Sunday, the last Sunday of my Scotland trip, and I actually didn't bring any plants, but as usual, I was still able to come home with some things from some very generous people, and I have put them in these takeaway cups purely to get them here safely, because I just had a box that was going to be flipped and turned throughout the time I was traveling back home, and I needed them to be nice and safe and secure here. Also, hello Cleo. Yeah, But I wanted to show you what I got and what I'm going to be doing with them as well. So, first up is one that I actually had to cut in order to get into the cup properly, but it is this Hoya here. It is a Hoya Casbergii, which I have never heard of this sort of Hoya before, but it was one long cutting. But in order to get it into the cup, I needed to cut it, and I was planning on cutting it anyways in order to propagate it and hopefully have a fuller pot. So I'm excited about this one. They had it in just some moss, but it is a fresh cut, so I think I'm going to put it in some water. There are a couple of tiny little aerial roots. Oh, Cleo. There's a couple tiny little aerial roots already in there, but that will be perfect in some water. I can grab a little jar now. I didn't bring any of the supplies that I needed to actually do stuff with, but alas. This one, I had to stuff a napkin in the top, and it's actually going to be really difficult to get out of this cup. Also, I can totally reuse these cups for coffee and stuff, so they're not just a one-time use thing. This one, we were all unsure what exactly this was. So we know it's a peperomia, and to me, off the bat, it looked like a peperomia frost, but we were a bit confused because I don't think it quite looks the same as my frost here. I think they're not close enough, but this one has quite red stems, so we're really not sure about whether or not it is a peperomia frost. So let us know if you know what this one is. For now, I'm just going to be calling it a peperomia frost, but this one's already potted up fully. I'll probably end up putting it right next to the other one because why not? I think they look good together like that. This, we've got another Hoya, and this one is also a mystery. So this was given to someone in a mystery Hoya box, and it was not labeled, which was really unhelpful. We're all pretty sure that it's not a Hoya Crimson Queen, even though it has the sort of light variegated parts on the outside, but this leaf shape just doesn't look long enough for it to be a Crimson Queen, so we don't think it is. I say we because we were all discussing this and trying to figure out what it is. We've got no idea. But this one, again, it's just in some moss. Let's see. Ooh, moss and perlite, actually, that's fun. Let's see if it is rooted. Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, yes, this one is actually fully rooted in here. So I can pot this one straight up in a minute. Look at those roots. So nice. That one is just gonna go straight in some soil right away. Cleo is so curious. I love it. But again, if you know what this one is, let us know. We're thinking maybe, really don't know. Also, these spots, I just got sphagnum in my mouth. These spots on it are sulfur treatment, so it's not actually spotted in the middle. So that's probably a better representation. Does anyone know what this is? It would be very useful to know. And then the last one I had to double cup it because it is just so tall. I mean, it's not that tall, it's a tiny little plant, but haha! It did so well in transit considering this here is a dwarf Alocasia portadora, I believe. That is what I was told it was, but it's got these really cool sort of stripy stems, and apparently it still grows big like a portadora, but not quite as big and tall, more just big and small. That doesn't make any sense at all. I'm not totally sure about this one because I've never grown this one before and I'd not heard of it before, but I am looking forward to growing it and hopefully adding a fun new alocasia to my collection. Y'all know I love alocasias. This one was grown from corms and I think it is rooted in the soil here, but I think I probably want to put it into semi-hydro because that is my preferred alocasia substrate. So let me grab a bunch of supplies really quick and we can sort out all these fun new plants that I have and get them all ready for their new home here. So I think this is where I'm going to end this video for today. I feel like I've done so much already that I don't really need to do any more for now. I feel like I got the main bits I wanted done, which is good, except for that repotting stuff, which I'll do in another video down the line. But yeah, that is it for today. Before I sign off though, I want to say a huge thank you to Andy J and Fanny for joining in the Good Growing fam over on Patreon. If anyone else is interested in joining my Patreon, it is £3 a month or $4.50 or about €4. And for that you get everything, which is access to Discord server, live chats, bonus content, early access to my vlog channel videos, and just general fun planty time. So that's there if anyone wants it, but of course absolutely no pressure. If you're not into that kind of thing, that is absolutely fine. So yes, otherwise I hope the rest of you are having a fantastic day, and if you like this video please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanting things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Keep growing. Bye!